What did a crush do that made you instantly lose interest in him/her? He tossed an empty drink bottle onto a random lawn as we walked down the street. I worked up the courage to ask this girl to go on a date. She said yes. On the date, she proceeded to spend the whole time gossiping about anyone and everyone she could talk bad about. I still remember the moment it clicked that she was just super shallow and mean. We were out drinking. He got drunk and started fighting a guy that he thought had been harassing me. The guy said he didn't harass me. I said he didn't harass me. My crush still tried to defend me. Never lost interest faster. He asked me to help him hook up with my best friend. Edit. Continuation. At that time I thought he was indirectly rejecting me and asking for my friend's number at the same time. Two birds with one stone, you know. Well, I asked my friend if she liked him and she said yes, so I became the matchmaker. They dated for like 3 months and broke up. The guy later told me she wasn't what he expected her to be. He also told me some of his friends liked me and he didn't want it to be a part of some manly fight. Well, we became good friends. I still had a little crush on him, but I had to change schools so I hid it and we parted 5 years ago. I am still wondering what he is doing right now. It was a bittersweet crush. I bet he knew I still had a crush on him. She asked me if I wanted to go to a concert with her. Then she wanted me to pay for both tickets that I knew she got for free. Promptly laughed at her and told her she can duck off with some other idiot. It's funny how fast the ugliness on the inside can overcome anything good on the outside. She did me a favor that day. Here's a light-hearted one. I developed my first crush when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. This was right around the time when Pokemon were first becoming really popular. So naturally I was obsessed with them. I had the cards, the Game Boy games, etc. One day I overheard the girl I had a crush on talking to her friends at recess about how weird Pokemon were, and thus in a flash a young love was extinguished. Fast forward about 22 years and my wife also doesn't like Pokemon, because life is strange. Was crushing on this girl for ducking months. And it turns out at her last apartment she stole $1,500 for coke and abruptly ended the lease, giving her 2 roommates barely any time at all to find new housing, one of which had to move back in with their abusive mother. We were 5. Had planned to marry when we got older with a pancake cake and everything. I was invited to his birthday party and he and his friend was climbing a tree with him being higher up. Suddenly he pees down on his friend. We never got married. Acting like a complete d-head. And when I addressed it he said, I know I'm an asshole, but I'm really sexy like. Okay. Suddenly, you're really not sexy at all. He was mean to his mom, demanded money from her so we could go out in front of me, and then called his grandma to get some more money so we could go out. So uncomfortable. Edit. Let me add more details. We were both around 21/22. I met this person, drove from the Midwest to Dallas with him, and was essentially stuck there for 2 days before my train was scheduled to leave. This behavior was not acceptable at all, and I felt uncomfortable the entire time. She was going to a party and I said, you seem pretty and enthusiastic about going. She replied with, don't use big words. Threw rocks at a cat because she thought it was funny. This guy that I'd been talking to for a while on Tinder, who I thought was cool cute, but he never seemed down to meet up. One time he randomly messaged me to say he'd gone over to someone's place and they'd had sex 3 times. I think he was trying to make me jealous, but it just made me feel a bit gross. Found out she was a cousin. We were in class together and it was all a pure coincidence. Neither of us had any idea until a family member casually mentioned to me, doesn't her name go to your school? Well, crap. Not something that she did, but her breath smelled like it. Literally like it. Not my crush, but someone who had a crush on me, or so I was told. She asked for my birthday, and I told her. She then calculated that I was younger than her by a week or so and straight up said to me I did have a crush on a guy, but then I found out he was younger than me, so now there's not crush. Damn dude. Found out he was a serial cheater and cheated on his exes with strippers and masseuses. Edit. Just to clarify, he had 6 with them. Some people in the comments didn't quite get it. I had a crush on a guy in 5th grade. He found out about my crush and made a really hateful nickname for me and teased me about my body. Got all of his friends to tease me too. Realizing he was a garbage person set me straight pretty quickly. This is a serious response. He threatened to kill me and himself if I broke up with him. We were alone in the house and he was having some sort of episode where he spaced out, became robotic, and dissociated. This made him act very slow and lethargic. He had mental issues. I grabbed my stuff and ran. Never saw him again, but I know he was hospitalized. I'm married now and he hasn't contacted me since. I actually hope he's doing better. It was a teenage crush. He had multiple girlfriends who didn't know about each other. Disloyalty is not cool. I misunderstood a comment and he was a D about it in front of a few people, laughing at my instead of kindly correcting me. What a duckhead. Crush on a girl my junior year of college. She liked to heavily make fun of people, and I mean hard. Like to the point I would say hi to someone I knew. After we walked off she would have some remark. She went from attractive to not wanting to be around her really quickly. Didn't defend me when his friends tried to assault me. Just laughed with them. This is a long version of the story. I have never been popular. Was always bullied and stuff. One of the things people told me was that I was a prude, because I never had a boyfriend at that point. Apparently, some of my classmates got inspired by that and started a bet. Whoever could do me in, a slang word in my language that can mean anything from making out to 6, would win. Every contestant put in a certain amount of money. At the height of the contest it was about 100. That would be their prize. All of a sudden, I was invited to popular parties. People tried to make me drink. Random people started talking to me, flirting, groping. More and more people became aware of the bet, so even people I'd never talked to or who were complete strangers to me started to hit me up. It was weird. I was still in the dark about the bet and I didn't get why some guys, sometimes even girls, wanted to hang out with me or wanted to see me drink. Luckily for me I don't drink, but it was all very uncomfortable. My crush and I went on a school trip together with the rest of our year, and all of a sudden things get out of hand. People groping me, now the supervision of the teachers is half gone. People trying to ask me if I ever kissed someone. The most scary experience was when a couple of guys cornered me in the park and told me, very detailed, how they wanted to have sex with me. Some of them were my classmates. Some of them were friends of my crush. One of them was my crush. You can imagine how scared I was as a 15-year-old. No adults in sight, only me and these 16-year-olds. I was hoping my crush would defend me. He was a nice guy, never laid a hand on anybody, always friendly, but he just laughed. They were telling me how they would abuse me and he laughed. It took 2 more months before another girl had the courage to tell me what was going on. She used the word doing, and I was too flustered to ask if she meant the light version or all the way. When I told the teachers about the bet, about all the people who were involved, about how no one told me anything about it, not even the girls, they told me I had no proof, was imagining things again and that boys will be boys with hormones. What can we do about that? It all stopped when I got a boyfriend that very summer, who was 5 years older than me and would later turn out to be an abuser. He looked like he was 30 though, so I guess most of the guys got too scared to lay a hand on me. But yeah, that's how my crush lost my interest. Tortured a housefly and gave an oral book report trashing my favorite book, at the time, for being boring and having too many words. Then started bragging he could have any girl in the school he wanted. Shortest crush of my life. I've shared this before, but one time I was out on a first date with this girl I met online. I thought she was very attractive and we seemed to hit off well through texts. We're at this bar and she suggests we play a people watching game where we try to make up backstories for the other people there. I thought it sounded fun, especially since I played a similar game with friends on the train sometimes. Plus it felt like a good icebreaker to get us talking. Well, she managed to take all the fun out the game by being ridiculously cruel in all her assumptions for no real reason at all. It felt like she was projecting issues she had onto these people. Like one guy was sitting at the bar alone, could have been waiting for someone. You never know. But because he was alone he was a ducking loser with no friends that hates his life. Completely killed the mood and I lost interest in her after that. Couldn't see myself going on a second date with someone like that. He drove like an idiot while I was in the car. I literally thought he was going to kill us. And he was road raging the whole time. This was on the highway too. I asked him to stop driving like that and he didn't. Never going out with him again. She referred to Mexicans as wetbacks. I look white. What she didn't know is that I'm part Mexican. Racism of any kind towards anyone is an instant turn off. Edit. Changed webix to wetbacks and added an important detail. She started posting videos of her making out with drunk old men to her Snap. We're both in college. Bully me to depression. Used a baby voice when speaking to me. When I said I was legitimately suicidal and wanted to talk to her to get my mind off of it, she responded with "You're so self-centered and lol do it pussy." And the best part is I thought we were good friends up until that point. Dude, she knocked over my Lego Death Star. She had to go. Told her I liked her. Then she blocked me on all social media and bullied me harshly whenever she saw me. Ouch. Edit. Jesus Christ, this did better than I expected. I'm reading everyone's comments and the thing someone offered to help me with is flatten her tires. I'm in. That was a joke. Please don't do that. We had sex for first time. And afterwards she told me she had sex with this other guy I hate just before because she didn't want to be unexperienced for our first time together. I thought losing the virginity together was a beautiful thing. She completely ruined it. Edit. We were together. It wasn't just a random chick I waited for. We are 8 or so and he asked for a pen. So I gave him mine. He chewed on it. Instant turn off. Alcohol and cigarettes. We were 13 back then. You shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, when you cast the spells in the game, you're actually casting them in your spirit, and that lets the devil get into you. I was like, wait, and I'm supposed to be the one who can't tell reality from fiction? Told me about his stash of kiddie porn. Yes, I did report it. Long distance. Only online crush boyfriend. We were playing a modified TTRPG in the early 2010s and we made the horrible mistake of playing versions of ourselves. Same names, ages, etc. Lots of it happened. But the thing that really made me feel like it was when I felt like a third wheel with him and his best bro. We were playing in a survival setting. So we would delegate chores to make sure we had supplies, fuel, ammo, etc. By the end of each day, every time my BF would choose to go with his guy friend for things, I didn't mind the first couple of times, but I did kinda want a day where the two of us hung out, since, again, this was a LD relationship, never happened. The one time I forced the issue and said I was coming along to hunt or something, they just ignored me and did their usual thing. Jokes on me, though. Turns out BF was deep in the closet and hanging out with his guy friend and game was him living out his fantasy of having a boyfriend. Rejected me. Don't keep trying when you know it's pointless, guys. She saw an Oreo in the cleaner's dustpan, picked it up, and ate it. He threw my sister's birthday card for our mom out of the car's window as a joke, even though my sis told him she spent 6 hours making it. He made my sister cry. Edit. I too would have liked to throw him out of the window but we were young at that time. Coming home from school and a driver was set to pick the three of us. I did ask the driver to stop the car, but it was the middle of the road so he said we can't. Hey, we still good for tomorrow? Sorry, my boyfriend wants to come over. Great way to find out she both forgot about our plans and had a BF. I had been seeing this girl for 2 months in college and things were going alright. I was helping her move when she decided it was the moment to have a serious talk. She sat me down and in a very serious tone told me she had been doing some digging. She confronted me with the fact that I had dated black women. I kind of thought it was a joke at first. I guess my brain couldn't comprehend that this was still a thing. No. She was dead serious and explained to me that while she had nothing against black people, she didn't believe in mixing races. I was dumbfounded. I got up and walked out. Made fun of a chick who was into him for being chubby. He was fluffy himself. And I called him on it and walked away from that. Some guy I went out with kept trying to convince me to sleep with him even after repeatedly telling him no. Some people just can't take no for an answer. Not me, but my wife before we met. There was an event in Salt Lake City and she was from northern Washington. She had a crush on this guy and decided to join carpooling with him and couple other people. They stopped to grab some fast food and went back on their way. Well, as soon as he finished eating drinking, he tossed the whole bag out the window while driving. After that, she barely talked to him, and once they got to SLC she left him and joined some other friends and went back home with them instead. A mix between sudden and extreme explosive road rage and a misogynistic rant that came out of nowhere. He's an ex now, but he's gotten worse. Showed his true colors obviously. Had a crush on this girl who was dating someone at the time. I was hanging out with her and she kept checking her phone. Later she announced she was upset because her so hadn't texted her first that day. So they hadn't texted at all. She was building resentment over literally nothing. Useful insight into what a relationship with her might have looked like. In my very first relationship, they kept telling me every ducking day how much they've been hurt in the past and that they hoped I wouldn't make them suffer the same. I tried to help them, like talk about their problems and all, but since it was a long distance relationship it was kinda hard. And them always talking about suicidal things made me so worried. It was terrible for my mental health. I wanted to leave since it made me lose interest, but I didn't want to hurt them like they kept saying how much they've been hurt. And one day it was too much for me, so I just blocked them everywhere. I know I'm kinda the bad guy in this story for just leaving like that, but I just couldn't bear it anymore. Edit. I read most of your comments. BTWTHX for sharing your POV, and I didn't mention that before blocking them. I just said that I had lost interest and didn't want that relationship anymore. Literally just these words. I was so confused I didn't know what else I could say and just wanted to go away from that person. And that's literally the worst thing I could have done. I realized thanks to some of your comments. So please, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, don't do the same mistakes as me. Explain to that person how it's been for you, so maybe them and their future BFGF won't have to live the same thing. Move to a different school. Smoking. My folks both smoked and died from lung cancer. Saw it coming as a kid. Complete turn off and buzzkill. Accuse me of cheating because I had female friends. A few things. She told me she hated how much guys share their feelings, emotions now. She said that if she dates someone she wants them to be a typical man and not show any type of weakness. One of those things like, I don't want to hear if a man is sad or upset. I just don't care. She liked pretty heavy music, like prog metal and hardcore music, which is cool. However, she didn't like anything else and would blatantly put down any other type of music and or not give it a chance. Almost made you feel stupid for liking anything else. Showed her a friend's artwork and her response was, yeah, not impressive. It would be impressive if they did X and Y. Like, I understand that you don't have to like every person's art, but her demeanor about it was too condescending. Edit. Didn't realize this comment would get as big as it did. TBH, I have no hard feelings to her. We moved on. It's okay. And for sure I don't think it's representative of all women. People have their own preferences. What she liked just wasn't my thing. Told me that while he thought I wasn't dumb, that I couldn't be smarter than him because I was female and a few months younger. Our test scores, entrance exams and work history later determined that that was a lie. She asked me to prom. I said yeah. 2 days before prom, I actually don't want to go with you, but I already bought both of our tickets. As the guy, I expect you to pay me back for them. I tried to explain that's not how transactions work. She kept telling me it was my responsibility. I asked if she was smoking crack. Never heard from her again. Told me how her cat was sick, so she snapped its neck to put it out of its misery. They poked fun at my mom. Going to a primarily white school, him and a group of his guy friends always made fun of how she dressed and how short she was. I didn't super know him, but he was a part of the group that did. And that's all I needed to know. My mom is this sweet, short Asian woman who loves to smile. And yes, she sometimes wears goofy clothing. But no one makes fun of my mama. No one. He said that he doesn't like ugly people and they all should die or be put in a corner. TW animal abuse. More than he'd constantly hit his cat in front of me and scare him on purpose. Poor baby had bladder problems and would get hit every time he had an accident. Less than. Not necessarily a crush, but a married co-worker I might be interested in if she was single. My co-workers had a bar crawl for a holiday party one year. We finished at one of the bars, so some of us started going to the next bar that was just down the street. My co-worker and I passed this one store that sold games like Magic and Damned. She half joked that she was tempted to go in and laugh at the people in there. That rubbed me the wrong way for 2 reasons. First, she's a school counselor and talked about how bullying is bad. Hypocrite much? Secondly, I'm the kind of person who might play those kinds of games, so she unknowingly said that she'd be willing to laugh at me. Sent a funny meme. Didn't react to it. Well, F off then. He was an asked our teacher because he was going to play baseball in college. Looked him up and he's definitely not doing it professionally and hasn't graduated yet. Edit. I looked him up to see if he was a professional baseball player yet. I like to see if anyone that was good at sports succeeded, and he's kind of bounced around from university to university, since it's been over 4 years since high school. That's why I threw in that he hadn't graduated yet. We went out to breakfast, maybe our second or third date, and bumped into his friend who sat with us for a bit while ordering a coffee to go. Just long enough to be super rude to the guy serving us. I just couldn't get over the fact that he had friends like this. I let it fade out. Bumped into him maybe a year later, and he opened with telling me that he'd written off that friend as a total jerk and that he should have stopped giving him the time of day after high school. I literally high-fived him, which he thought was funny, and went out for a few years after that.